I guess it's my preseason expectations that continue to creep in and affect my judgment. But I'm stunned by this Kim Caldwell group and the fact that they just continue to win at a high level. We've talked about the freshman wall. I wonder if you'd have a first-year coach wall, especially one that's demanding like her. If so, they haven't hit it yet because they beat Ole Miss, Caleb, and it looks like a Sweet 16 lock team to me, if not even better.
Yeah, the thing about this Kim Caldwell team, and by the way, Ole Miss is a very good one. They're a good basketball team. They're 17-8, 8-5 in the SEC. And as that happened, Tennessee looked even better yesterday because UConn, who Tennessee beat at home, went to South Carolina and beat them 87-58 at South Carolina. So that looks real good for Tennessee. As far as this game yesterday, we talk about this a lot, but again, Tennessee had to score a little bit more out of their half-court sets, and they're getting better at it. That's the big deal. They're getting better scoring out of their half-court sets, not in transition. And that's where they really needed to work on things. Now, they still got out-rebounded 40-33. They gave up 17 offensive rebounds. They've got to work on that. But they scored 80 points, and Jewel Spear was just a star. She went 5 of 7 from 3, 9 of 11 from the field, had 28 points, just absolutely balled out. But Samara Spencer had 13 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and Talaysia Cooper also had 11 points and 6 assists, and she had 6 steals and 6 rebounds. She had 11 points, and Samara Spencer had 13. Neither of them hit a 3. And off the bench, Z Spearman had 14 points, and she didn't hit a 3. So 3 Lady Vols scoring double figures without hitting a 3 when this is a transition 3-point shooting team shows a lot of growth. But here's the big thing, and you brought it up about the wall. I remember the Bruce Pearl team, the first Bruce Pearl team, 2005, 2006, that like really just lit a fire under the fan base with how exciting they were.
Was it Jawan and Chris?
That year they had Dame Bradshaw, Andre Patterson. They still had Jawan and Chris, but they also had Dame Bradshaw, Andre Patterson, Major Wingate, a lot of those guys. They got
we're not allowed to speak Dame Bradshaw's name because he's an Eagles fan. Kidding, Dane. I love you. Go ahead.
He also went to my rival high school that I hated, so it's okay.
Wow, double hatred for Dane.
Tennessee got to number 8 in the polls that year, and they collapsed during the end of the season. And it was hitting a wall. Like everybody remembers that Chris Lofton shot versus Winthrop, but that actually shows how far Tennessee fell. That they needed a last-second shot to beat Winthrop when they had gotten up to
shot too. I mean, he's fading out of bounds.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't a good look at all, right? And so I think what we forget happened was that Bruce Pearl team, he ran tempo. He liked to, control chaos it the way Kim Caldwell does, but he really only had 7 guys he could do it with. So his team got gassed by late February. Kim Caldwell she's going 10 deep. Like every game, she's going 10 deep. Only one player played over 30 minutes yesterday. So, I mean, when you only have one player playing over 30 minutes, you could probably stick with this style all the way through the NCAA tournament, which makes them more of a Sweet 16 caliber team than we would have thought.
All right, so bank on it. Tennessee is a what team? And the poll question is on board right now. Bank on it, brought to you by Commercial Bank, member FDIC, life made better.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions.
I'll say bank on it. It's an Elite 8 team, and it's our poll question right now. You can vote on the YouTube page. Don't forget, if you would like to become a paid member, just $4.99 a month, and your introductory gift, plus you'll be in a drawing for weekly gifts. And we're going to give away this John Henderson helmet that's right behind me, autographed by the big man himself. But again, if you want to join the channel, do so, and you'll get that introductory gift to Hound Dogs. And we'll include a promo code called Hooked that you get 10% off. So that's a $20 gift certificate for $5 a month. So we appreciate that. But this is how much I have changed, because I would say I now expect Lady Vols to make the Elite 8. So the choices are make the Final Four, Elite 8, Sweet 16, just make the tourney. If you would have asked me before the season, I would have said just make the tourney. But now I'm I'm pretty hardcore Elite Eight, Caleb.
So I'm hardcore Sweet 16. There is still one major drawback with this team. Now, they're only losing to the elite teams. When I mean elite, I mean we're talking the LSUs and the South Carolinas and those schools that, as you and I know, there's no shame in losing to those schools. But with that in mind, or on the road to a school like Texas, but with that in mind, the issue is that once they play a big team that slows it down and scores in the paint a lot, they're just not at the level, and that doesn't turn it over. They're not at the level to be able to beat those teams yet because they can't shoot consistently enough from three. Their counter to that is to just go red hot from three, and they don't have enough elite 3-point shooters. And I think it's more likely than not they run into a team like that before the Elite Eight. And I think that's their only issue.
Sounds like a Zach Edey matchup for the men's side.
Yes. Well, Zach, but see, the men were capable of doing it last year, playing out of a half-court game. It's just Zach Edey was so dominant, and Jonas Adu panicked underneath the pressure. If Jonas Adu, like, halfway shows up, Tennessee wins that game.
How many teams do you think, from a schematic personnel standpoint, are scary out there? I mean, obviously, you think it's more than 8 because you think they'll just make the Sweet 16. But, I mean, how many teams do you see that you're like, oh, man, that's a bad matchup for the Lady Vols?
No, I don't think it's more than 8 because I actually think Tennessee could get lucky. I mean, because I just don't think Tennessee's going to get lucky enough to not run into somebody in the Sweet 16 before then. I don't know if that makes sense, but like so the big ones are, we'll just start with the ones that have beaten Tennessee, which is LSU, Oklahoma, Texas, South Carolina. All 4 of those teams are scary. Vanderbilt, even though Vanderbilt beat Tennessee, Vanderbilt's not scary. Again, it's Memorial Gym magic. You should like literally just chuck out any loss you ever have at Memorial Gym if you're a men's or women's basketball team, because it's a stupid arena and it shouldn't exist. Did you say you disagree?
No, this is true. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, so the top 2, I think UCLA and Notre Dame are obviously scary because UCLA and Notre Dame are just incredibly talented this year. Going down the list, Ohio State's very good. USC is very good, but I actually think Tennessee could beat USC even though they're number 6. And I think they could turn up the tempo on them. So, I mean, I'm going to go... Well, I'm going to go about 10 teams are really, really, really scary. Now, we don't know exactly how Tennessee matches up in that lower tier. We're about to find out because Tennessee is about to have to play Alabama, and they got a visit to Kentucky later down the road, and Kentucky is a top 10 team also. So that's really going to give us a rundown of exactly where they stand. But
here's what I hope doesn't happen to Kim Caldwell in year number 1 is that she stumbles in the first couple of rounds of the tournament, maybe even loses by a significant amount, a la the football team. And we've seen the interest in the football team wane dramatically. I hope that doesn't happen with her program because she's raised expectations. If I would have told you at the beginning of the year, you'd be talking about a borderline Sweet 16 team, you would have taken that, right?
Yes, definitely. And then the number 1 recruiting class coming in next year, I don't think it's going to die with this year. I think it would, if it was after year 3, it would. But year 1, nah, no one's going to, like, the excitement's not waning for this program because they see the recruiting class coming in. We just talked about Tennessee flaming out under Bruce Pearl in his first year, towards the end of the year, because they were too tired. But Dave, you remember that. Even after they got bounced out in the second round by Wichita State, the excitement behind the program was through the roof.